Most finance professionals never get the one thing that senior executives take for granted: an assistant. Now, someone who absorbs the operational noise, who tracks the follow-ups, who prepares the meetings, who manages the inbox and protects their time so that they can focus on actual finance work. At every other level, that work falls back on the professional and it eats hours every single day. So I built an AI executive assistant called Finance Brain that handles all of that work continuously. It monitors Gmail and Slack, and it classifies every incoming conversation by urgency, converts voice notes into structured tasks, prepares briefings before meetings, tracks unresolved follow-ups across treasury, procurement, audit, and vendor management, and then runs reminders automatically before anything becomes a real risk. I built this for myself first, and what I'm going to show you now today is the full system. You will see exactly what it does inside a live demo, the prep work that goes into setting it up, the 4 phases of the build from foundation to deployment, and how it operates as a continuously running executive assistant once it is live. Now, if you want the prompts and the architecture from this video, they're in my free community. Link is in the description below. But for now, let's get into it. What Finance Brain actually does. Before I show you how it was built, I want to walk you through what it looks like when it's actually running, because once you see the system in operation, everything in the build makes more sense. I sign in and land on the dashboard, and the first thing on the screen is a live operational hero showing what is urgent, what is still open, and what is aged into the danger zone. And right below is the daily briefing, which pulls live operational data from the database and writes one executive summary so I don't have to piece it together myself every single morning. Below the dashboard splits into dedicated operational lanes. You have urgent risks that show the high priority finance leadership activity tied to specific categories like treasury, procurement, board operations, audit, AP, AR, and forecasting. You have pending approvals, tracks the procurement and CAPEX decisions waiting for action, and each one with the financial amount and aging attached. Procurement follow-ups, treasury alerts, and vendor escalations each run in their own lane, so I can see operational pressure across every function without context switching. Further down is the operational priority queue, which continuously ranks unresolved work across every category by urgency and by business impact. So the most pressing items always surface at the top. Then upcoming meetings, where I can click brief me on a treasury and AP coordination meeting, and a real preparation panel comes back referencing disputed invoices, receivables aging, revolver headroom, and the actual decisions still on the table. Now, the panel is forward looking. It tells me what I need to walk into the meeting ready to handle, rather than summarizing what already happened. Now, below that, executive reminders connect to operational tasks and follow up directly. And unresolved tasks holds the centralized repository of everything still open across the entire organization. Then there is the inbox. Now, the problem this solves is that finance leadership lives across Gmail and Slack at the same time, and the actual signal gets buried in the noise. So instead of opening either app, I just open the inbox here. Now, every conversation from both is already pulled in and sorted by what actually matters. Sign-in alerts and promotional emails are just filtered out completely. To show the ingestion working live, I send 3 operational emails into the connected account, and I click Sync Now from the integrations panel. Now, within seconds, all 3 are pulled into the inbox, classified by urgency, and tagged into the right operational category. Now, this is where the triage layer actually shows what it can do. And when I click into a thread, I get the full operational context around it, who owns what is still open, what the business impact is, and a suggested reply draft that already reads the situation correctly. Now, the same triage runs on every new message that comes in, so that the inbox is never just a list of unread items. It is already organized by what needs my attention first. The task page is where execution lives. So every operational workflow across procurement sits here with its urgency, its owner, financial amount, blocked dependencies, and full activity history. And I can resolve a task, I can snooze it, or add a follow-up directly from the page and the log just updates itself. The memory page is the layer that makes everything else feel intelligent. The assistant remembers executive preferences or recurring workflows, stakeholder relationships, escalation patterns, and operational heuristics over time. Now, the reason this matters is that operational risk rarely shows up in one email or one meeting. It builds gradually across weeks of treasury pressure or procurement delays or audit findings and vendor escalations. The memory layer connects all of that into one persistent picture so that the assistant has more context to reason against the longer it runs. Then the integration layer. Now I send a voice note to Telegram describing a procurement follow-up. Whisper transcribes it. The assistant reads the intent and a structured task lands in the dashboard within seconds with the right category and urgency attached. Now the same voice capture works directly inside the dashboard too. So I click the microphone, describe what needs to happen, and the task appears in the operational queue without me typing anything. Telegram works the other way around as well. So the assistant pushes proactive reminders to my phone tied to actual operational pressure, liquidity exposure ahead of a board review, or procurement timing risk tied to a delivery delay, or various escalations that need follow-up before they grow. Now these are not generic notifications. Each one connects back to an active workflow in the system. I also post a vendor escalation in a connected Slack channel, and it shows up in the inbox automatically, classified, and then a Telegram alert pushes to my phone in real time. Gmail, calendar, Slack, Telegram voice, all of it flows into one single operational pipeline. Underneath everything is the Superbase memory layer. Now every follow-up, inbox item, meeting note, ongoing concern, recurring workflow, stakeholder relationship preference, and reminder sits there as structured operational intelligence that the assistant reasons against on every single action. Now this is the layer that makes the difference between a dashboard and an actual assistant. And that is the finished system. Now let me show you how it actually gets built. Setting up the account and keys. Before I open Claude Code, I need to provision everything the assistant is going to connect to. There's 6 external services, and the system cannot be wired together until the credentials for all of them are in place. Now Superbase is first because the database is going to hold the entire operational memory layer. So I create a new Superbase project for Finance Brain. I copy 3 values out of the dashboard, the project URL, the anonymous key, and then the service role key, and I drop them into the application environment file. I also connect Superbase directly to Claude Code so that Claude can build against the live database during the project instead of just generating blind code. Now, while I'm still inside Superbase, I have Claude generate the starter operational schema for the assistant, tables for tasks, follow-ups, inbox items, meeting notes, and reminders with priorities, deadlines, categories, status, and timestamps. Claude then writes the schema queries, and I run them directly inside the Superbase SQL editor to create the operational backend structure. I check the schema visualizer afterwards to confirm every table, relationship, and field came through cleanly. The starter schema is enough to run a basic task tracker, but the assistant needs a much deeper memory architecture to behave like a real finance operations system. So I feed Claude operational context about how finance leadership actually works, treasury coordination, procurement cycles, audit routines, leadership relationships, recurring workflows, executive behavior patterns, and then based on that context, Claude extends the schema with tables for executive profiles, communication preferences, leadership relationships, recurring workflows, ongoing concerns, and long-term memory notes. And then it adds workflow categories for CapEx, inventory, compliance, and manufacturing so that the assistant has the right vocabulary for the kind of operation it is going to see. Once the expanded schema is ready, Claude seeds it with realistic demo data, executive tasks, reminders, inbox activity, procurement escalations, treasury alerts, audit workflows, meeting schedules, and operational risk. Now, the reason this matters is that the dashboard and triage workflows need real operational state to test against. Now, once the data is in, everything feels interconnected from the very first run. Then Telegram. I open Telegram, I create a new bot through botfather using /newbot. I name it and pick a username ending in bot. Botfather hands back a token. I message the bot once to activate it, and then I use a Telegram user info bot to get my user ID. Token and user ID both go in the environment file. Google is next. I create a project in Google Cloud Console, enable the Gmail and Calendar APIs, configure the OAuth consent screen as external, add my email as a test user, and grant the Gmail and Calendar scopes. Then I create an OAuth client for a web application, add the local redirect URIs, and save the client ID and client secret into the environment file. Slack works the same way. I create a new Slack app from the developer side, add the bot token scopes needed to read messages, monitor channels, respond to mentions, and send messages. And then I install it into my workspace and grab the bot user OAuth token and the signing secret. Both go in the environment file. Last two are the AI keys. So I open OpenAI and I create an API key. Now, this one powers Whisper, which is what turns Telegram voice notes into structured text. Then Anthropic for the Claude API key. Now that one powers everything the assistant actually reasons about: briefings, inbox triage, memory extraction, suggested replies, and then both keys go in the environment. Every account the system needs is now provisioned and the build can begin. Phase 1, building the foundation and memory layer. I open Claude Code and connect it directly to the Finance Brain project folder so the AI works inside the real application workspace from the start. Now the first prompt covers the entire foundation. I tell Claude to build the project using Next.js, TypeScript, Tailwind, and ShadCN. Set up the main operational layout with pages for dashboard, inbox, tasks, memory and settings. Configure Supabase for authentication and data storage, and prepare the integration architecture for Telegram, Slack, Google, and Claude. Now, Claude works through the build step by step, installing dependencies, creating files, and asking for permission before each change. And I approve everything so the build can keep moving. Before the application can actually run against the database, the schema queries that Claude designed during the setup stage need to be applied to the live Supabase project. So I open the Supabase dashboard, navigate to the SQL editor, paste the schema queries Claude generated earlier, and then run them. Now the operational tables for tasks, follow-ups, inbox items, meeting notes, reminders, executive profiles, relationships, recurring workflows, and memory notes all get created inside Supabase. I also disable email confirmation in the authentication settings so I can sign into the app immediately during development without waiting on verification emails. Now I run pnpm dev to launch the local server, open the login screen for the first time, create an account, and then I sign in. The dashboard loads, the navigation works, the database is connected, and the foundation is operational. Now, before moving on, I push the whole project to GitHub so I have a clean backup of this stable version. I keep doing this after every major session so that each stable build stays preserved as the platform grows. Phase 2, building the dashboard and the AI brain. This phase is two pieces: the operational dashboard that holds everything visually, and the Claude reasoning layer that makes the dashboard actually think. I start with the dashboard. I tell Claude to build the panels, workflow systems, inbox views, reminders, and operational interfaces directly against the live Supabase database using Next.js server components for data and keeping interactive actions client side. Now the reason for that architecture is performance. The dashboard fetches operational state fast on every load instead of waiting on client-side calls. Now Claude builds the reusable card system that gets used everywhere and then builds the main panels. Now the priority queue has a centralized scoring system underneath it that ranks every workflow automatically based on urgency, aging, and operational importance, so that the most pressing operational items always surface first. I reload the dashboard locally and the whole structure is there end to end. The triage section is intentionally empty because that is where the AI layer plugs in next. Now the brain. So I give Claude a prompt focused on the AI workflows that need to power the platform. Executive briefings, inbox triage, memory extraction, task extraction, and meeting pre-briefs. So Claude builds the prompt architecture for each AI workflow, structured prompts for briefings and inbox classification that generate operational summaries, classify urgency, detect financial risk, extract tasks, and produce suggested responses. It implements the memory extraction system so executive preferences and organizational context and recurring issues and operational relationships persist over time. Claude then creates the centralized AI orchestration layer used by every Claude-powered workflow. I tell it to load operational context automatically before every AI request using the data stored in Supabase, and this is what makes the outputs sound contextual instead of generic. The assistant is reasoning against actual operational state every time it generates something. Once it is wired up, I test it live. So I open the daily briefing panel and I click generate, and within a few seconds, a real briefing appears referencing procurement exposure, vendor issues, and treasury concerns straight from the seeded operational data. Then I go to the inbox, pick an item, click triage, then Claude classifies the message, it evaluates urgency, it detects the financial risk, it extracts the tasks, it generates a reply draft, and then it pushes the workflow updates back into the system. The dashboard now has a working brain reasoning against live operational memory. Phase 3, connecting the communication channels. Up to this point, the system can think, but it can only think about data I've already loaded into it. So this phase connects the 4 communication channels that finance leadership actually lives in, so Telegram, Slack, Gmail, and Calendar, so that operational activity from anywhere flows in continuously. Now, Telegram is first because it is the mobile lifeline. The reason this matters is that operational stuff does not wait for me to be at my desk. A vendor calls, or a CFO asks for a follow-up, or something breaks in the close, and I need to be able to capture that the moment it happens. I tell Claude to build the Telegram layer, webhooks, voice transcription, and command routing. So Claude then wires up the bot authentication, it connects Whisper into the workflow, and now when I send a voice note from anywhere, Whisper then transcribes it, Claude reads the intent, and then a structured task even with the right category and urgency lands in the dashboard. Now, outbound also works. The system can push briefings, alerts, and reminders directly to Telegram so that the assistant talks back. Slack is next. The problem with Slack is that finance teams use it for everything from real procurement coordination to memes about the coffee machine, and the signal gets lost. So I tell Claude to build Slack monitoring with channel selection, so I pick exactly which channels get watched, and keyword filtering for procurement, approvals, invoices, escalations, treasury, vendors, and audits. And when something relevant gets posted in a monitored channel, it lands in the centralized inbox automatically and runs through the same AI triage as Gmail. Now, Gmail and Calendar together are the biggest integration. The reason is volume. Gmail is where most operational communication actually lives, and Calendar is where every meeting that needs preparation sits. So Claude builds the full Google OAuth flow, and then the Gmail sync engine that pulls recent emails and it filters noise and inserts them into the centralized inbox where the AI triage takes over. Now, the triage workflow classifies each email, it extracts tasks, and then it drafts suggested replies. Reply functionality goes both ways too, so I can send a Claude generated response directly back into the existing email thread from inside the inbox interface. Calendar sync pulls meetings into the system as structured operational records, and the meeting pre-brief workflow gathers related inbox items or open tasks and risks for each one, and then produces the preparation panel that I showed earlier in the demo. I open settings, I click connect Google, approve the Gmail and calendar access through the OAuth screen, and the integration flips to connected. I then click sync now to test, and within seconds, emails are flowing in, calendar events are populating, and the AI triage is doing its job on every single new message. And every channel the assistant needs to listen to is now feeding in to the same workspace. Phase 4, automation and deployment. Everything works, but everything still needs me to trigger it. So we will need to set up cron jobs for it, as they are scheduled tasks that run automatically on a server at set intervals, which is what makes continuous operation possible without any manual triggering. I tell Claude to set up 3 scheduled jobs on Versal Cron, and the first is a daily executive briefing that generates automatically and delivers through Telegram before the workday starts. The second is a reminder job that runs continuously. It checks pending follow-ups and pushes alerts when something is about to slip. And then the third is a Gmail and calendar sync that refreshes every 10 minutes in the background so that the inbox is always current. The same workflows are exposed as manual run now buttons in settings, so I can fire any of them on demand if I need to. Then Claude runs a polished pass across the platform. So it adds shared formatting helpers, so currencies and timestamps and aging labels display consistently across every panel. It then pulls a live operational hero banner to the top of the dashboard showing urgent items, open tasks, and aging follow-ups from live database accounts. Now, small AI indicators get added to briefings and suggested replies, so it is always clear what the assistant generated. Now, a global command palette using Control-K lets any workflow be triggered from anywhere in the app, and the briefing prompt itself gets one more refinement pass so that the output reads like real finance leadership communication. Now, I deploy. So I create a Versal account, I import the GitHub repository and add every environment variable, Supabase, Anthropic, Google, Telegram, Slack, and the cron secrets. And I click deploy, and Versal clones the repo, builds the next.js application, compiles the API routes, and the platform goes live on a production URL. The last step is reconnecting the integrations that need a public webhook URL, because those only exist after deployment. Google OAuth gets pointed to the production redirect URI in the Cloud Console. Then I reconnect Google inside the deployed app and verify Gmail sync, calendar sync, meeting pre-briefs, and reply workflows all still work. 2 environment variables in Versal get updated to point at the production domain so the OAuth callbacks resolve correctly. Telegram is the simplest. I run the registration script from the project root. It points the Telegram webhook at the deployed endpoint, and the integration flips to active. Slack takes one more step. I configure Slack event subscription to point at the deployed webhook endpoint. Slack verifies it instantly, and I reinstall the app to apply the updated scopes, invite the bot into the channels I want to monitor, and then I select them from the Slack management interface. The full system is now live. Google integrations, Gmail sync, calendar sync, Telegram automation, Slack monitoring, AI triage, meeting intelligence, cron automation, persistent memory, and executive workflow orchestration all running together on Versal infrastructure. The assistant is now doing the work continuously without me triggering anything. So that is Finance Brain end to end. An executive assistant that watches Gmail, Slack, Calendar, Telegram, and voice continuously. It classifies and prioritizes everything against a persistent memory layer, and then it generates briefings and meeting preparation. It tracks follow-ups, it runs reminders automatically, and then operates on its own without needing to be triggered. Now, if you want the prompts and the architecture from this video, they're in the free community, which is linked in the description below. And I'll see you next time.